Now at 9, a Northeast Oklahoma police officer is in critical condition after a wreck. We'll have details. Plus, we'll hear from 4 state residents on their travel plans for this Thanksgiving holiday. And local food shelters see an increase in families seeking assistance ahead of the holidays.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A Commerce, Oklahoma police officer is in critical condition following a wreck from a high-speed chase over the weekend. This is your KOAM News at 9. I'm Jalen Banks. The wreck happened on Saturday evening, just north of Commerce. 39-year-old Vernon Moyer of Commerce was pursuing a car at a high rate of speed after initiating a traffic stop. He was driving north on County Road S-560, where they say the brakes failed in the police car. The car then left the road and into a ditch. Moyer is currently in the hospital with critical injuries. One man has died from a crash in McDonald County, Missouri yesterday afternoon. The crash occurred on Route E, just 7 miles northeast of Bella Vista, Arkansas. They say a car driven by 57-year-old Michelle McKeever drove over the center line and struck another car. The passenger in McKeever's car, 56-year-old Thomas McKeever of Seligman, Arkansas, died on the scene. Michelle McKeever is in serious condition. The driver of the other car suffered minor injuries. Thanksgiving is this week, and some people will be traveling during the holiday weekend. AAA predicts 54.6 million Americans will travel 50 or more miles during this holiday weekend. And KOM's Jana Haldala spoke with Joplin Regional Airport's manager and some residents about how the holiday traffic looks like.
Traveling for Thanksgiving has started for some 4-state residents. They chose to celebrate early and avoid traffic jams.
I'm actually headed out this week on a little bit of an early Thanksgiving to hang out with my mom and brothers and sisters out there and have a little cabin in Utah that they're renting and going to have a good time.
Joplin Regional Airport Manager Part Starkey says flights arriving and departing from Joplin are all mostly full, and that's how they want to keep it. However, they are seeing some staffing challenges.
Right now, we're filling our flights, and we will continue to because it's not an economic problem. But we just face the issue with the airlines trying to fill flight crews. So that's a problem that we're facing, and it's a problem across the country.
Starkey says even though the airport is small and going through security does not take long, passengers should still be at the airport early.
We have a very early flight that leaves at 6, and so sometimes people cut it close and get here late, and then the gate's already, they've already closed the door.
Even though flight ticket prices are higher than during COVID, it does not stop Nielsen from traveling for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, I've heard, is the busiest day of the year to travel, and so the less you can do it that day, the better, I think.
Jana Haldala, KOAM News.
According to AAA, 4.5 million people are expected to travel by plane this Thanksgiving, and another 49 million people will travel by car. And now we move to weather. Doug, what do you have for us?
Well, it actually turned out to be a nice day for us today. We had sunny skies, temperatures warmer, 56, right where we should be for this time of the year. We started at 29 during the morning hours, but we do have a storm system that we're keeping our eyes on. Clouds will increase during the daytime hours on Wednesday. Showers, even some thunderstorms starting to develop Wednesday night into Thanksgiving. So that's something we'll have to focus on as we go through the next couple days. Now, until we get there, it looks okay. We're sitting upper 30s to lower 40s outside for us. Now, we have clear skies, really the entire Central Plains, pretty much clear skies. As we go through the overnight hours, slide back through the 30s, eventually 33 for an overnight low, but we popped to 47 by 10 a.m. Even warmer for us tomorrow. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
In 2019, the historic Faith Fellowship building was donated to the Alliance of Southwest Missouri. The plan to restore the building was pushed back due to the pandemic, but now the Alliance looks to bring back its former beauty. Today they held a meeting to discuss fundraising goals to begin the construction process.
November 29th will be Giving Tuesday, and we're hoping to raise $15,000. We did have a donor say that he will match up to $10,000 raised. So if we raise $10,000 by the end of the year, he will match that $10,000, and we'd surpass our goal of 15 and raise 20,000.
The donations on Giving Tuesday will go towards construction, which they hope will begin in the coming weeks, weather permitting. House Republican lawmakers are preparing their next steps following the midterm election. They're planning a slew of investigations, but they may run into trouble within the party as some members question who will lead them. Democrats are also optimistic they'll be able to halt some of their proposals due to a slim majority and control in the Senate. Fox News Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel has a closer look.
Fresh off the midterm elections, Republican lawmakers are promising investigations into the southern border, the origins of COVID-19, and Hunter Biden's business dealings once they officially take control of the House in January.
We need to stand up and fight and do the things that we campaign on. I want to see fight out of our leadership.
They could have a tough road ahead of them with a slim majority and questions over whether GOP leader Kevin McCarthy will have enough support to become Speaker.
It's not the size of the gavel, it's the power of the gavel of who holds it.
And at the annual Thanksgiving turkey pardon Monday, President Biden took aim at predictions the GOP would beat the stuffing out of Democrats.
The only red wave this season is going to be a German Shepherd Commander knocks over the cranberry sauce on our table.
Meantime, Democrats are poised to elect new and younger leadership, with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi withdrawing from her post along with House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer. They're voicing their support for Congressman Hakeem Jeffries to lead the Democrats.
We will fiercely and vigorously oppose any attempts at Republican overreach and any Republican extremism.
Democrats did maintain control of the Senate and are aggressively trying to win their 51st seat. Former President Barack Obama says he'll travel to Georgia December 1st to campaign in Senator Raphael Warnock's runoff race against Republican Herschel Walker. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
We now take this time to honor tonight's Forstate hero. James Dunleavy, a Pittsburgh native, served in the Navy. Dunleavy earned the Asiatic Pacific Medal, the Philippine Liberation Medal, and the Good Conduct Medal. To pharmacist mate James Dunleavy, we thank you, our Forstate hero. Coming up, a potential triple-demic.
The nationwide pediatric care crisis is intensifying as flu and RSV cases skyrocket among children. I'm Jonathan Hunt in Los Angeles. I've got the details coming up.
A new study suggests moms are less likely to reach recommended exercise level. According to research from the universities of Cambridge and Southampton, women with school-aged children exercise for an average of 26 minutes, while women with children under the age of 4 exercised about 18 minutes a day. Researchers reviewed the data of roughly 850 women between the ages of 20 and 34 in the study. Less than 50% of the women reached the recommended 150 minutes of exercise per week. Pediatric hospitalizations are now at 50 per 100,000, a rate more than 10 times higher than pre-pandemic levels, thanks to the triple-demic of flu, COVID, and RSV. Fox News Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt has the latest from Los Angeles.
The triple-demic we were warned about is here. Hospitals across the country say they simply don't have enough resources to deal with a major spike in flu and RSV cases, as well as a growing COVID surge. The Children's Hospital Association and American Academy of Pediatrics are calling on the Biden administration to declare a public health emergency, calling the situation unprecedented. Some doctors say it's partly the result of 2 years of masking and social distancing during the COVID pandemic.
Your body's not getting that low level of viral exposure that builds immunity. So that's probably why we're seeing this massive influx of RSV and influenza.
President Biden is urging Americans to get their flu and COVID shots, saying it's the best way to protect families as the holidays approach.
2 years ago, we couldn't even safely have Thanksgiving with large family gatherings. Now we can. That's progress, and let's keep it going.
Meanwhile, anxious parents have started masking up again in public, hoping to keep their kids safe until the numbers come down.
We're just taking normal precautions. After living through COVID the last few years, parents have had to just be adaptable.
Children are now being hospitalized with RSV at a rate more than 10 times higher than before the pandemic. In Los Angeles, Jonathan Hunt, Fox News.
Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Monday for us today. We've had a 3-day stretch of sunshine, but of course the weekend was chilly. It's warming up just a little bit for us during the afternoon hours today as we got back into the 50s for highs, which is always nice to see. It looks good. Indigo Sky, Casino and Resort Indigo, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, so yesterday we were mainly into the upper 40s. Not as cold last night because we set record lows on Sunday morning, but we bounced into the 50s for highs for us today. In fact, check this out. Even pushed 60 in our western counties, Yates, Center, Fredonia, Coffeyville, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Northeast Oklahoma, all mid-50s, low to mid-50s on the Missouri and the Arkansas side. And of course, we've dropped off now, but it's still not bad. Pineville, 43, 44, Seneca, 45 in Afton, 41 in Pitt, down to 39 in Nevada. Let's go outside. Here's 7th, here's range line, 41, south winds are light, humidity is at 57%. Through the overnight hours, we slide back through the 30s, down to 33, but a quick warm up, sunshine, warm through the 40s during the morning hours. We're gonna have clear skies. We got clear skies right now. We have clear skies across the Central Plains. One weak wave passing to our south will not affect us. Here's our weather for Tuesday, really into Wednesday. Here's our weather for Thursday and Friday as our next storm system starts to head in our direction. All right, let's go through time. We're going to stop at 7 a.m. Still pretty much clear skies. Temps sitting right around freezing. Jalen, does your back need to be popped, dude? Jalen's over there trying to pop his back. All right, sitting right around 32. By morning, we warm into the 50s by the time we head toward the noon hour. And once we get into the afternoon, upper 50s. Some areas are going to press 60. So it's going to be a nice day. Tomorrow night, we do start to get some clouds, which are going to increase across the region. So on Wednesday, a lot of clouds outside. I think most of the day is going to be dry, but we'll start to get some showers popping up. So this is Wednesday evening. Wednesday night going into Thursday morning, which is Thanksgiving, we start to get some showers. But this storm system is actually going to stick around for just a little while. First off day planner tomorrow, 35 to start, 54 by noon. We back to 54 by 5, plenty of sunshine, high temp right around 58 degrees. All right, let's look at the upper levels. Here comes this system. So we're going to go all the way Thanksgiving into Friday. It separates from the jet stream. So one, it doesn't get a lot of cold air, but because it separates from the jet stream, it slowly meanders its way through. So this is Saturday into Sunday. So this system is going to be sticking around for a few days. All right, 58 tomorrow, 57 on Wednesday, 53 on Thursday, down to 50 on Friday, and then rain back in on Saturday. So in our second half hour, we're going to break down the system a little bit more, how much rain we can get and how it's going to affect everybody's travel plans, whether they're flying or driving around the region.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then just simply looking at, that forecast, it looks like the epitome of just fall weather.
Yeah,
we got low temps, some rain.
Temperatures are pretty good.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's going to be a blast. Yeah. All right, thank you, Doug. Coming up, the latest on a nightclub shooting in Colorado.
A 22-year-old man faces murder and hate crime charges after a fatal shooting inside a nightclub. I'm Claudia Cowan in Colorado Springs. I'll have the latest on this developing story just ahead.
A mass shooting rocked the Colorado Springs community over the weekend. Now police are searching for a motive. Fox News senior correspondent Claudia Cowan has more.
The man suspected of killing at least 5 people and injuring others at a gay nightclub in Colorado faces murder and hate crime charges. Police say 22-year-old Anderson Lee Aldrich opened fire with a long rifle after entering Club Q just before midnight.
This was the only LGBTQIA+ place in the entire city of Springs where we could feel safe. We don't have that anymore. It's shattered.
The alleged gunman's past is now facing scrutiny. Just last year, a man with the same name and birth date was arrested after his mother called police saying he was making bomb threats. At the time, authorities said no explosives were found and the case was never prosecuted. On Saturday night, patrons quickly subdued the gunman by grabbing his gun and pinning him down. Officials are calling these patrons heroes and saying they likely saved many lives.
If this had gone on for several minutes more and that heroic action had not been taken, I can only imagine how many more fatalities we might have had.
Among the victims that night, 2 of the club's bartenders, Daniel Aston and Derek Rump. Aston's mother calls the last few days a nightmare.
He was just a happy child from always. He loved to laugh.
The shooting occurred during Transgender Awareness Week. People now calling for an end to the violence. The nightclub remains an active crime scene and will remain closed until further notice. In Colorado Springs, Colorado, Claudia Cowan, Fox News.
One pop artist is releasing their very first Christmas album, and we'll take a look after the break. Pop singer Debbie Gibson has released her very first Christmas album, and there are also new holiday sounds from Chris Isaak and Andrea Bocelli. And Rick Demichella unwrapped this story.
Debbie Gibson's Christmas Star is an original song from her very first Christmas album, Winterlicious.
Winterlicious is like the holiday album that I would want to listen to as a holiday music fan. I love albums that kind of encompass all the styles and give you all the feels. So it's everything from 36-piece orchestra to horn sections to super modern current production sound. It's pretty much half originals and half classics.
A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland.
That's Chris Isaak performing the Christmas standard Winter Wonderland from his second set of holiday songs, Everybody Knows It's Christmas.
Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
Andrea Bocelli is joined by his 24-year-old son Matteo and 10-year-old daughter Virginia on the album A Family Christmas, featuring solos, duets, and trio performances by the Bocellis. Wishing you an early Merry Christmas in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
And that's a look at the first 30 minutes of your KOAM News at 9. More news, weather, and sports after the break. And coming up, we'll look at local food banks helping families in need. Reconstruction of the South Range Line Bridge in Joplin started another detour today. An additional section of West 32nd Street is now closed, which includes Alfalfa Road to the west side of Crane Drive. The intersection of 32nd Street and Country Club Drive will be closed as well. Detours have been posted. As we prepare for Thanksgiving, Ozark Food Harvest and other local food banks are seeing an increase in families seeking assistance, and KOAM Shagun Bamdali has more.
Ozark Food Harvest network of faith-based and community partners currently serves an average of 62,000 people each month, nearly 12,000 more during the same period in 2020 and 2021.
So just to do what we were doing last year is costing us more. A few weeks ago, we had one of our mobile food pantries, and we had an 80-year-old grandmother who came up and was in tears at having to receive food service because she says, I've never needed anything like this.
Browning says some of the Thanksgiving produce ordered by the food bank were cut.
We typically order turkeys for our network of community and faith-based partners so they can give that out to their families around this time. We actually had to start ordering those in February to make sure that we were going to have them in time, and our order was still cut. So we were trying to order about 7,000 turkeys, and we only ended up with about 4,000.
A local food bank tells me that the increased demand of food is as a result of high food prices, supply chain issues, and inflation.
The cost of food nowadays is just really hard for those who are on fixed incomes or just don't have a job to pay for it.
We see that as indicative that there are still issues with supply chain, inflation, and still increased prices for food are really driving families to need access to food pantries and the different partners that we work with across our Southwest Missouri area.
Reporting in Joplin, Shagun Bamdali, KOAM News.
According to Ozark Food Harvest, 21% of children in their service area face food insecurity. That's 1 in 5 children, and higher than Missouri's average of 18.6%. Starting today, Spire Energy is offering help to more customers struggling with inflation rising and cost. They're expanding eligibility for its Dollar Help program by increasing the maximum total of annual Dollar Help pledge amount from $700 to $1,000 The company is also providing an additional $100,000. In support of the program, Dollar Help allows Spire customers to donate $1 monthly, which in turn helps other customers in need of assistance with their natural gas bills. To find out how to apply for the program, download the KOAM News app. Armadillos are becoming a staple in Missouri and a pest to some gardeners and farmers. And KOAM's Amber Jenkins explains why these animals are migrating to northern habitats.
Armadillos are known to dig in yards, farmland, and more. The armadillo population is growing due to the animals migrating north from their usual habitat.
There's a couple theories about why they're moving north. One is maybe it's connected with climate change, but another one too is just that as fields got tilled, as gardens got tilled, it gave them a lot more habitat because what they eat is grubs that are in the soil.
Armadillos need a lot of insects for energy, which means they are always digging.
So armadillos usually kind of keep their head down, very super noisy when they're going through the woods. You'll think like a bear is coming up on you because they're just rustling, just making so much noise, just head down looking for insects.
Homeowners usually hate the holes that armadillos dig in their yard, but some of the digging might have some beneficial effects.
While their digging can be problematic if it's around a building or in your garden or something like that, they, in other instances, their digging can actually be beneficial because it's helping to get rid of some grubs that could be garden pests.
As the mammal moves to new homes, it can make them roadway casualties.
In the summertime, you see a lot of dead armadillos. The reason for that is not because they can't run. Actually, armadillos can run pretty fast. But what they do is when they first see what they perceive as a predator, they jump straight in the air.
If you hit one, it can also damage your vehicle. Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The Wildlife Code of Missouri does not allow Missourians to trap or kill nuisance armadillos on their property. The Little Balkans Quilt Guild in Pittsburgh teamed up to honor veterans. Today they handed out homemade quilts to dozens of veterans. There were about 10 different quilt patterns.
Well, we've been doing this since 2010, and we've had different people host it. It means a lot to me because my husband was a veteran. He's no longer with me, and it is nice to recognize the other veterans through the different wars, World War II, the Korean, we have Vietnam veterans, and then the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans also.
The Quilters Guild has also made pillowcases in the past to give fire victims, the Children's Center, and Safer House Crisis Center. Kansas Attorney General Derek Schmidt today announced the Riverton organization has been awarded a grant from the Tower Foundation to support mental health services. Spring River Mental Health and Wellness Center was awarded $10,000 to assist with the transition to the new designation of being a certified community behavioral health clinic. And a bit later,
unthinkable tragedy after a car plows into a busy Apple store. I'm Alexis McAdams in New York, and all of those details coming up next.
Hey, it definitely turned out to be a better day for us today. We've had sunshine the past few days, but temperatures started to crank up just a little bit for us today. Plenty of clear skies for us now. We'll have clear skies throughout the overnight hours tonight. Night shot. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course. Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, look at our highs earlier today. Not too shabby. Right where we should be for this time of the year. Mid-50s, Missouri. Mid to upper 50s once you got out across southeastern Kansas, northeastern parts of Oklahoma. Of course, it's cooling down. It's not awful. It's 39 in the Yates Center, 37 in Garnett, 41 in Afton, Pittsburgh, 42, 35 in Stockton. We have Cassville checking in at 39 degrees. Here's 7th. Here's Rangeline sitting at 41. South at about 5. Humidity is at 57%. We have clear skies here. We have a weak wave passing to our south, will not affect us. This big gap of nothing, that's our weather tomorrow. As we get past that, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, here's our next storm system, which is building out across the Gulf of Alaska, which will start to affect us, of course, here in a couple days. Until then, we're okay. So let's start Tuesday, 7 a.m. Temps near freezing. As we go through the morning hours, we warm into the 50s by noon. Once we get into the afternoon, most of us upper 50s. 57 in Nevada, 55 in Cassville, 56 in Miami, Pittsburgh, 57, Yates Center, about 55. Clouds will start to increase tomorrow night, but dry. Clouds all day long on Wednesday, which is a travel day. We may start to get a few showers late afternoon into the evening hours. Showers increasing as we head into Wednesday night and then right on in to Thanksgiving morning, which of course is Thursday. Heaviest along and south of Interstate 44. So prior to that, tomorrow looks okay. 35 in the morning, 54 by noon. We back to 54 by 5. High temp, pretty good at 58 degrees. But as we look down the road, look at this system. It comes out, it splits from the jet stream, so it doesn't have a whole bunch of cold air. That's why it's going to be rain. And then it just slowly meanders its way toward us. So here's Saturday, slowly passes by Sunday, so it takes its time. So we are going to have a couple bouts of rain. Let's look at Thanksgiving itself. Here's 1 p.m. You should be inside eating turkey or ham and watching football, on and off showers as we go into the afternoon. We've had the debate of what's better, turkey or ham. Showers continue Thursday evening, a little bit of a break on Friday, but once we get into the weekend, here comes this system again. It lifts back north, giving us rain chances again by the time we head into Saturday. So we are going to have a couple bouts with this storm system rolling through. 58 tomorrow, 57 on Wednesday, 53 on Thanksgiving. Black Friday, mainly just cloudy, and then rain back in again Saturday, high temp of 49 degrees.
All right, so about Thanksgiving, the fact that there's even a debate, despite the turkey being the mascot, makes me think that ham has got to be better. If it's even in the discussion, despite...
Ham's good. I just prefer to eat both.
I'm with you on that one. All right, we'll settle it there. All right, thank you, Doug. And coming up in sports, we'll hear from Pitt State following its shutout win over Indianapolis. Plus, Missouri Southern hosts Tabor for its home opener. Danny Terza has those highlights and more next.
The Missouri Southern men are 2-2 this season. They return to action tonight for their home opener. Southern hits the floor against the Tabor Blue Jays. The Lions are aiming for their third straight win. First half, Nongo Na tries. Tyreek Jackson swoops in for the big finish. Southern up by 8. Then Vincent Sigmund fakes, drives to the basket and scores. Southern goes on a 13-point run. Later, Parker Long knocks down the pull-up jumper. It's 44-27 Lions at half. In the second, Christian Bundy finds Jackson for the two-handed jam. Jackson leads the Lions tonight with a career-high 16 points. And very next play, off the steal, it's Bundy with the dunk. He tallies 4 steals with 12 points and 6 rebounds. Southern hammers Tabor 75-45. The Pitt State Gorillas beat Indianapolis 35-0 on Saturday to advance to the second round of the playoffs. The Pitt State defense was impressive to say the least. The Gorillas forced 6 turnovers and tallied 4 sacks against the 13th ranked team in the country. Saturday marks PSU's 12th straight win and first shutout of the season.
And that's been one of our goals, like all year. We haven't really came close. We haven't had it. So to get it in the first round of the playoffs is like a real big deal. Like that's a good team. So to shut them out that's pretty good.
I personally believe it leaves a statement for just for other teams to come that we're a good defense and they should prepare accordingly.
The Chiefs and Chargers went down to the wire on Sunday night, but Kansas City pulled off a 30-27 win to sweep the season series. Travis Kelce scored the go-ahead touchdown with 31 seconds left in the game. He finished with 6 catches for 115 yards and 3 scores, and he set a league record. Kelce now has 33 career games with 100 receiving yards, the most by a tight end in NFL history.
I personally was ready for the matchup. I knew they were going to play a lot of man-to-man coverage, and I knew that Pat was going to be looking for me when it was one-on-one coverage.
They had a plan for him, Adam. I mean, they were going to bang him around, and then they put an all-pro safety on him. So he had to fight like crazy the whole game. kind of come up with things on the fly to get himself open. You know, it's a tribute to the Chargers and the way they did it, but it's also a great tribute to Kels for battling through.
The U.S. men's national team makes its World Cup debut today. They face Wales in group play. This one ends in a draw. Tim Weah scores the goal for the U.S., and they'll be back in action on Friday against England. That's a look at sports. We'll be right back.
The Army Corps of Engineers plans to publish a final report about radioactive testing at Janet Elementary and Coldwater Creek in 2023. Dozens of community members come together in Waukesha exactly 1 year after the deadly Christmas parade. The Wisconsin community held a remembrance ceremony to honor the heroes and victims of the tragic Christmas parade attack. 6 people were killed and more than 70 others were injured after Daryl Brooks drove an SUV through the crowd. Brooks was recently found guilty of the crime and sentenced to 6 life sentences behind bars. The mayor of Waukesha is asking everyone to light their homes and businesses in blue in honor of the victims. Police in the Boston area suburb in Massachusetts is investigating after a car crashed into an Apple store, killing at least 1 person inside and injuring at least 16 others. Fox News correspondent Alexis McAdams has that story.
Tragedy as the holiday shopping season is getting into full swing. An SUV plowing into a busy Apple store in Hingham, Massachusetts.
This morning was an unthinkable morning, and people are trying to get through it and process what happened.
Emergency responders called to the scene less than an hour after the store opened. Several witnesses called 911 to report a dark-colored vehicle had jumped the curb and crashed right through Apple's plate glass storefront window.
I just heard like glass shatter, and there was just a gaping hole in the middle of the Apple store.
The SUV struck multiple people, trapping a number of them inside. Victims were spotted on the ground. Some were treated by bystanders who provided first aid. First responders jumped in to render emergency treatment as soon as they got there.
16 people have been transported to hospitals, 14 to South Shore hospitals, 2 to Boston hospitals. There's been 1 fatality.
We have multiple patients with life-threatening and limb-threatening injuries.
Investigators are being tight-lipped about details of the driver and whether the incident was accidental or intentional. The driver was not among the people taken to the hospital for treatment. Investigators are looking at surveillance footage from inside the store to determine what happened.
Regarding the operator of the motor vehicle, we're looking into that. Regarding the status of the motor vehicle, we're looking into that.
Authorities say this is still an active criminal investigation, and they do know who the driver is. Reporting in New York, I'm Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
We'll be back with more after the break. The holiday season is getting underway in the White House. President Biden hosted the National Thanksgiving Turkey presentation today, continuing the presidential turkey pardoning tradition again this year, saving 2 very lucky birds from being served up at Thanksgiving feast. Chris Wynn is in Washington to talk turkey.
On the heels of a wedding and a presidential birthday, the weekend's celebratory atmosphere at the White House continuing Monday. President Joe Biden making much ado about stuffing at the 75th anniversary of the National Thanksgiving Turkey presentation with some political puns.
The votes are in. They've been counted and verified. There's no ballot stuffing. There's no foul play.
And a pair of poultry pardons for Chocolate and Chip.
Based on their temperament and commitment to being productive members of society, I hereby pardon. Yes. I hereby pardon Chocolate and Chip.
The Birds of Honor received VIB treatment on their trot to Washington, basting in glory at the Willard Hotel and gobbling up attention everywhere they went. President Biden dishing out exciting opportunities for the now free birds.
Receiving their presidential pardons today, Chocolate and Chip are going to head to one of the nation's great basketball schools and research universities, North Carolina State.
While also serving a message of gratitude to the country.
We can't forget the reason for Thanksgiving in the first place. Being grateful for what we have and grateful for fellow Americans who we may never meet.
And capping off the festive day, the official Christmas tree also arriving at the White House. In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn reporting. All right, and that's our time for tonight, and thank you for joining us.
But before you go, we'll leave you with the video of a newborn baby giraffe in the UK. Be safe, and we'll do this all again tomorrow. See you then.